Seniors, I'm begging you, stop drinking. These 5 alcoholic drinks that are slowly damaging your heart. Enjoying a nightly drink. Some beverages could be silently harming your heart. Discover the 5 drinks to avoid and the healthier alternatives. Don't miss the final tip that could safeguard your heart health. Heart's vulnerability. We embark on this vital discussion by first cultivating a deep and compassionate understanding of the aging heart and its increasing vulnerability. The heart, that unceasingly faithful servant, which has diligently pumped life-giving blood throughout our bodies for 6, 7, 8 decades or more, undergoes natural intrinsic changes with the passage of time. These age-related transformations, while a normal part of the human journey, render the cardiovascular system inherently more susceptible to the detrimental effects of substances like alcohol, even in amounts that might have been tolerated with fewer apparent consequences in younger years. As we age, the heart muscle itself may become slightly stiffer, and its chambers may not relax as efficiently between beats, a condition known as diastolic dysfunction. The arteries, too, can lose some of their youthful elasticity, leading to a tendency towards higher blood pressure. The electrical conduction system of the heart can become more prone to irregularities. The body's ability to metabolize alcohol may also slow down, meaning that alcohol remains in the system longer, and its effects, both acute and chronic, can be more pronounced and prolonged in seniors. Furthermore, older adults are more likely to be managing one or more chronic health conditions, such as hypertension, diabetes, atrial fibrillation, or kidney insufficiencies, all of which can be significantly exacerbated by alcohol consumption. They are also more likely to be taking multiple medications, and alcohol can interact dangerously with many common prescriptions, altering their efficacy or increasing the risk of adverse side effects, some of which can directly impact the heart. It is within this context of heightened physiological vulnerability that we must re-evaluate the role of alcohol in a senior's life. What might have been considered moderate or social drinking in earlier decades can, for an older individual, represent a significant cardiovascular stressor. The plea to stop drinking certain types of alcoholic beverages or to reconsider alcohol consumption altogether is not born from a puritanical stance, but from a profound respect for the intricate workings of the aging body and a deep desire to protect the precious and often fragile health of the senior heart. This understanding of the heart's increased susceptibility is the bedrock upon which all further discernment regarding alcohol choices must be built. It is a call to approach this topic not with defensiveness or dismissal, but with an open mind, a courageous willingness to examine personal habits, and a loving commitment to prioritizing long-term cardiovascular well-being above fleeting pleasures or ingrained social customs. The health of your heart in your golden years deserves this careful, considered attention. Sugary cocktails. Let us now turn our direct attention to the first category of alcoholic beverages that I earnestly implore seniors to avoid, drinks that represent a particularly insidious threat to heart health due to their dual assault of alcohol and massive amounts of refined sugar, sugary cocktails, and mixed drinks. These concoctions, often brightly colored, deceptively palatable, and associated with festivity or relaxation, can include a wide array of popular choices like margaritas, especially those made with sweet and sour mixes, daiquiris, piña coladas, mojitos, often with considerable added sugar, sweetened spirit coolers, and many elaborate mixed drinks served in bars or made from pre-mixed bottles or cans. The danger here lies in the potent synergy between the alcohol content and the typically very high sugar load. As we have explored in other contexts, excessive sugar intake is a primary driver of numerous health problems that directly impact cardiovascular wellness. The rapid influx of sugar from these sweet cocktails floods the bloodstream with glucose, forcing a surge in insulin production. Over time, habitual consumption can lead to insulin resistance, a precursor to type 2 diabetes. Diabetes itself is a major risk factor for heart disease, as high blood sugar levels damage blood vessels and nerves, including those supplying the heart, and promote atherosclerosis. Furthermore, a high intake of sugar, particularly fructose, which is abundant in many cocktail sweeteners like high fructose corn syrup or agave nectar used excessively, contributes to increased production of triglycerides, a type of fat in the blood, elevated levels of LDL, bad cholesterol, and lower levels of HDL, good cholesterol, all key markers for an increased risk of heart disease. The liver is also burdened by processing large amounts of both alcohol and fructose, which can lead to fat accumulation in the liver, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which can progress to more serious liver conditions when combined with alcohol's own hepatotoxic effects, further disrupting metabolic health. Beyond the sugar, the alcohol in these cocktails still exerts its own detrimental effects. It can raise blood pressure, contribute to irregular heart rhythms, and directly weaken the heart muscle over time if consumed excessively. For seniors whose systems are already more vulnerable, this double hit of alcohol and sugar is particularly perilous. The sweetness of these drinks can also mask the taste of alcohol, leading to inadvertent overconsumption. One might easily consume several such cocktails in a social setting, unknowingly ingesting a tremendous amount of both alcohol and empty calories from sugar, far exceeding what the aging body can safely process. The calorie density also contributes to weight gain and obesity, especially visceral fat accumulation, which is a strong independent risk factor for cardiovascular disease and metabolic syndrome. Therefore, the plea to stop drinking these sugary cocktails is a plea to protect your heart from this multifaceted assault. If alcohol is to be consumed at all, a matter for careful individual consideration, opting for simpler choices without the added deluge of refined sugars is profoundly wiser. Choosing plain spirits with soda water and a squeeze of fresh lime, or a small glass of dry wine, represents a significantly less metabolically damaging option than these alluring but ultimately heart-harming sugary concoctions. Your heart will thank you for spurning these sweet sirens. Beer, excessive regular. We now consider another category of alcoholic beverage that, while often perceived as a more moderate or commonplace choice, can, especially when consumed regularly or in excessive quantities by seniors, pose significant risks to cardiovascular health. Beer. While a single, occasional light beer might be considered by some to be a relatively low-risk indulgence, the patterns of daily or heavy beer consumption are where the substantial dangers lie for the aging heart. One of the primary concerns with regular beer intake, particularly full-strength or craft beers, which can be higher in alcohol and calories, is its contribution to empty calories, and consequently to weight gain, especially abdominal obesity or the classic beer belly. As we know, excess body weight and particularly central adiposity is a major driver of hypertension, dyslipidemia, unhealthy cholesterol and triglyceride levels, insulin resistance, and systemic inflammation, all direct precursors to cardiovascular disease. Each pint of beer can contain a significant number of calories, and these can add up rapidly, making it very difficult to maintain a healthy weight, especially for seniors whose metabolic rates may naturally be slower. Beyond the calories, beer consumption, especially in larger volumes, can directly impact blood pressure. Alcohol in general has a biphasic effect on blood pressure. Small amounts might transiently lower it for some, but larger amounts or chronic regular consumption consistently lead to sustained elevations in blood pressure. For seniors, many of whom are already managing hypertension or are borderline hypertensive, this effect of beer can be particularly detrimental, placing increased strain on the heart muscle and artery walls and accelerating the progression of atherosclerotic disease. Furthermore, heavy beer drinking has been associated with an increased risk of developing atrial fibrillation, a common heart rhythm disorder in older adults that significantly elevates the risk of stroke and heart failure. The phenomenon known as holiday heart syndrome, characterized by atrial fibrillation after episodes of heavy drinking, which can certainly include beer, underscores this risk. Some studies also suggest that chronic excessive alcohol intake, including from beer, can lead to alcoholic cardiomyopathy, a condition where the heart muscle becomes weakened. enlarged and unable to pump blood efficiently, eventually leading to heart failure. While the hop content in beer provides some antioxidants, these are unlikely to outweigh the negative effects of the alcohol and calories when consumed in anything more than very modest and infrequent amounts. Moreover, beer can also contribute to elevated triglyceride levels in some individuals, another cardiovascular risk factor. The dehydrating effect of alcohol, present in beer as in other alcoholic drinks, also needs to be considered, as chronic dehydration can strain the cardiovascular system. The plea here, particularly to seniors who may have a daily beer habit or who regularly consume multiple beers in a sitting, is to honestly reassess this pattern. The perception of beer as a lighter or harmless drink can be deceptive when its cumulative effects on weight, blood pressure, heart rhythm, and overall metabolic health are considered within the context of an aging cardiovascular system. If alcohol reduction is necessary for heart health, beer intake often needs to be one of the first areas addressed, with a shift towards much greater moderation or, ideally for many seniors, complete abstention to truly protect the heart. Fortified wines. Our attention now turns to a category of alcoholic beverages that often carry an air of tradition or sophistication, yet can pose particular risks to the senior heart due to their typically higher alcohol content and sometimes significant sugar levels. Fortified wines. This group includes beverages such as port, sherry, Madeira, Marsala, and vermouth. These wines have had additional alcohol, usually a grape spirit like brandy, added during or after fermentation, which boosts their alcohol by volume, ABV, considerably higher than that of regular table wines, often in the range of 15% to 22% or even more. This increased alcohol concentration means that even a seemingly small serving of fortified wine can deliver a substantial amount of alcohol to the system, an amount that the aging body, with its potentially slower metabolism and increased sensitivity, may struggle to process safely. For seniors, the impact of this higher alcohol load on the cardiovascular system can be particularly concerning. As with other alcoholic beverages, the alcohol in fortified wines can contribute to elevations in blood pressure, especially with regular consumption. It can also increase the risk of cardiac arrhythmias, including atrial fibrillation, which is already more prevalent in older populations. The direct cardiotoxic effects of alcohol, leading to potential weakening of the heart muscle, alcoholic cardiomyopathy, over time, are also dose-dependent, meaning that stronger drinks like fortified wines deliver a more potent insult per serving. Furthermore, many fortified wines, particularly sweeter styles of port sherry, like cream sherry or Pedro Ximénez, and some vermouths, can contain significant amounts of residual sugar or added sweeteners. This sugar content, combined with the high alcohol, presents a similar dual threat to metabolic health as sugary cocktails, contributing to potential issues with blood sugar control, triglyceride levels, and weight management, all of which are relevant to cardiovascular risk. Even drier styles of fortified wines, while lower in sugar, still carry the burden of their high alcohol content. The serving sizes for fortified wines are traditionally smaller than for table wines, typically around 2 to 3 ounces or 60-90 milliliter. But it's easy to overpour or consume multiple servings, leading to a much higher alcohol intake than intended or realized. For a senior whose balance may be less steady or whose cognitive function might be subtly changing, the stronger intoxicating effects of these beverages can also increase the risk of falls and injuries, which can have devastating consequences, including complications that indirectly affect heart health, e.g., immobility after a fracture. The plea concerning fortified wines is one of extreme caution, and for many seniors, outright avoidance. The combination of high alcohol concentration and, in many cases, significant sugar content makes them a particularly challenging category for the aging cardiovascular system. If an older individual is seeking to minimize alcohol-related risks to their heart, fortified wines are among the beverages that should be most critically evaluated and, in the vast majority of cases, respectfully declined in favor of much lighter or, ideally, non-alcoholic alternatives that nurture rather than challenge their precious heart health. Dog spirits, excessive neat. We now address a category of alcoholic beverages often associated with connoisseurship or strong tradition, but which, when consumed regularly, in excessive amounts, or frequently neat, undiluted, by seniors, can exert a particularly potent and direct strain on the aging heart: dark spirits. This group includes beverages such as whiskey, scotch, bourbon, rye, dark rum, brandy, including cognac and armagnac, and some aged tequilas. While these spirits, when enjoyed in genuinely small, infrequent, and diluted amounts by individuals with robust health, might be argued by some to have a place, the patterns of more substantial or undiluted consumption by seniors are where significant cardiovascular concerns arise. The primary issue with dark spirits, like fortified wines, is their high alcohol concentration, typically ranging from 40% ABV upwards. Consuming these potent beverages, especially neat or with minimal dilution, delivers a concentrated jolt of alcohol to the system. For a senior with an already more vulnerable cardiovascular system, this can lead to acute effects such as a rapid increase in heart rate and blood pressure, and can trigger arrhythmias in susceptible individuals. The holiday heart syndrome, an episode of atrial fibrillation often occurring after consuming large amounts of alcohol, is certainly not exclusive to just beer or wine. Concentrated spirits can readily induce it. Over the long term, regular consumption of significant quantities of dark spirits contributes directly to the risk of developing sustained hypertension, alcoholic cardiomyopathy, where the heart muscle weakens and enlarges, and an increased likelihood of stroke, both ischemic and hemorrhagic. The direct toxic effect of alcohol on heart muscle cells is dose-dependent, and spirits, by their very nature, make it easier to consume a large dose of alcohol in a relatively small volume of liquid, particularly if one is not carefully measuring servings or is drinking them neat over an extended period. While some dark spirits, particularly those aged in wooden barrels like certain whiskies and brandies, may contain minute amounts of antioxidants or other compounds derived from the aging process, these are present in such trace levels that they are utterly insignificant compared to the overwhelming negative impact of the high alcohol content, especially for seniors. Any purported heart benefits from these compounds in spirits are vastly overshadowed by the cardiovascular risks associated with their primary ingredient, ethanol. Furthermore, the culture surrounding some dark spirits can sometimes encourage larger pours or more frequent consumption than might be physiologically wise for an older individual. The habit of having a nightcap of whiskey or brandy, if it becomes a nightly ritual involving a substantial serving, can contribute to disturbed sleep patterns. Alcohol often fragments sleep in the later part of the night, even if it initially helps one fall asleep, further stressing the cardiovascular system. It can also lead to dehydration if not accompanied by adequate water intake. The plea regarding dark spirits for seniors is one of rigorous honesty about consumption patterns and a deep understanding of their potency. If these beverages are consumed at all, it should be exceptionally infrequent, in very small, carefully measured, and preferably diluted servings. For most seniors earnestly striving to protect their heart, the risks associated with regular or undiluted consumption of dark spirits far outweigh any perceived social or sensory pleasure, making abstention or extremely cautious, minimal use the most prudent path for cardiovascular longevity. Cream liqueurs. Finally, we address a category of alcoholic drinks that often appeal due to their sweetness, creamy texture, and comforting flavors, yet pose a particularly hazardous combination of risks for the senior heart: cream liqueurs. These beverages, such as Irish cream, e.g. Baileys, various chocolate liqueurs, coffee liqueurs with cream, like some Kahlua expressions, and other dessert-style alcoholic concoctions, are typically a blend of a spirit, often whiskey or rum, cream or a cream substitute, and a significant amount of sugar, along with various flavorings. This combination makes them a triple threat to cardiovascular health in older adults. Firstly, like the sugary cocktails we discussed earlier, cream liqueurs are usually laden with refined sugar. This contributes to all the associated risks of high sugar intake, potential for insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes, unhealthy lipid profiles, high triglycerides, low HDL, weight gain, and systemic inflammation, all of which are detrimental to heart health. The creamy texture and sweet taste can make these drinks deceptively easy to consume in larger quantities than intended, further exacerbating the sugar overload. Secondly, they contain a substantial amount of fat, primarily saturated fat, from the cream content. While some saturated fat can be part of a balanced diet, excessive intake, particularly from liquid sources where it's easy to overconsume, can contribute to elevated LDL, bad cholesterol levels, a key factor in the development of atherosclerosis and coronary artery disease. For seniors who may already be managing cholesterol levels or have existing heart conditions, this added saturated fat burden from a beverage is highly undesirable. Thirdly, despite their often moderate ABV, typically around 15 to 25%, they still deliver a significant alcohol load, especially if multiple servings are consumed. This alcohol contributes to the usual risks of increased blood pressure, potential for cardiac arrhythmias, and the long-term risk of alcoholic cardiomyopathy. The combination of sugar, fat, and alcohol in one beverage creates a particularly dense caloric load, making cream liqueurs significant contributors to weight gain if consumed regularly, further compounding cardiovascular risk. Moreover, due to their rich and often heavy nature, cream liqueurs can sometimes cause digestive discomfort, especially in seniors whose digestive systems may be more sensitive. This discomfort can indirectly affect overall well-being and sleep quality, which in turn can impact heart health. The appeal of these drinks often lies in their dessert-like quality, perhaps enjoyed as a treat after a meal or as a comforting evening drink. However, for seniors, this treat comes with a substantial hidden cost to their cardiovascular system. The plea to stop drinking cream liqueurs, or at the very least, to relegate them to extremely rare and very small indulgences, if at all, is based on a clear understanding of their potent combination of heart-damaging ingredients. There are far healthier ways to enjoy a sweet treat or a comforting flavor that do not involve this hazardous triad of sugar, unhealthy fat, and alcohol. Choosing instead a small piece of dark chocolate, a naturally sweet herbal tea, or a small serving of fruit can satisfy a desire for something pleasant without actively harming the aging heart. Protecting your heart requires making discerning choices, especially when it comes to these deceptively indulgent but ultimately detrimental cream-based alcoholic beverages. The journey of aging gracefully and maintaining a vibrant, healthy heart into our senior years demands a conscious, often courageous, re-evaluation of ingrained habits and societal norms, particularly concerning alcohol. The 5 categories of alcoholic beverages we have explored today represent specific areas where the risks often profoundly outweigh any perceived benefits for the aging cardiovascular system. This is not a call for joyless austerity, but an earnest plea for profound self-care, for choosing life-affirming alternatives that nurture rather than challenge your precious heart. By making informed, discerning choices, by prioritizing your long-term well-being over fleeting indulgence or social pressure, you empower yourself to protect the very organ that has faithfully sustained you through a lifetime. May this understanding guide you to make choices that resonate with deep wisdom and foster a future filled with cardiac strength, peace of mind, and continued vitality for all the years that lie ahead. This is a powerful and necessary message. The breakdown of how specific types of alcohol, like sugary cocktails or even seemingly innocuous beer in excess, uniquely impact the aging heart provides so much clarity. Many seniors might not realize these specific risks. For those who have made the difficult but rewarding decision to significantly reduce or eliminate alcohol in their later years for heart health, what was the biggest positive change you noticed? Was it better sleep, more stable blood pressure, improved energy, or something else entirely? Sharing those benefits could be very inspiring.